Alright friends, welcome to the video. In this video we will learn how to create a scroll based animation using Framer motion. Okay, so for this video I get the inspiration from this website called quota.co.uk, and I see in their website this section where this title go back and scale down, disappear there, and new section, this card section come up. After we scroll again a little bit, the next card will come up, and then it takes the place and the behind the card get scaled down and disappear on the behind, right? Okay, something like that. Again the same thing, the next card come up and this card disappears and the last one disappears, something like that. Okay, so we want to create this animation. Okay, so here is my version. So there is a title, this disappears over there, new card come up, and if we scroll again and again and this new card come up and the last one come like this and disappears. Okay, so I don't know this animation, this my screen recorder capture it well or not, but this is pretty smooth and we wanna create this animation using framer motion. And one thing that when we code this section, this animation, we want to make sure that even if we add multiple chords, like we have like 3 chords right now, but if we add multiple chord or this section, then the animation should not break. Okay, so how many chord we add up in the future or something like that, the animation should work just fine. So dynamically we're gonna provide all the datas for these animations, and even we add the multiple chords, it will work as we intend it to work, right? So let's open the VS Code and then see how we can code this in our React, using React and Framer motion. Here in VS Code, you can see that I have already done some basic setup for our project. Basically, I have this heading tag on the top. I created this card component and I created this card data where I have 3 data so that I can loop through it and get these 3 card from here, right? So if you go to the browser and check it, this is how it's supposed to look like. I have the title on the top, I have this card component, a similar card component, I have 3 of those, right? So this is our starting point. Okay, so here in VS Code you can see I'm using Tailwind. But that's not really important. You can use any other CSS framework or the CSS as you like, but only thing is you should be able to create this because I'm not focusing on the styling of part, so I will just focusing on the scroll animation of using framer motion. So that will be our main goal. So I assume you will know how to create this. Okay, so only thing that will be important to remember here is I give the specific height for this container for this heading tag. Okay, and I give this height 100 dvh for the container of this card, each card, right? So this will be little bit important later in when we do the scroll animation, because we would need to know at what exact point we want to start and stop the animation. So if we give the specific height, it would be a lot more easier for us to animate. Okay, all right, that will be the basic setup. Okay, now for the animation we need to install the framer motion in our project. So come to the terminal and just write npm install framer motion, right? This will install the framer motion in our project. After we installed it, we can use that here by importing from framer motion. Okay, so what we can import, we are using the scroll based animation, so we can use scroll from this framer motion. Now we're gonna use this use scroll. So you can see here we get scroll x, scroll y, and scroll x progress and scroll y progress from this use scroll. So we don't need any others, but we are interested in this scroll y value because we are getting scroll value from only from this y-axis, right? So to do so, we can come over here, we can say const and use scroll. Okay, and here we will get this scroll y value. Okay, so this is what we need. Right now this scroll y value is targeting our whole this body HTML. So I'm getting the scroll y value of the whole container, but we need to target this container that wraps all of our the card and this title, right? So whatever we want to animate, that container should be targeted, and we should get this y scroll y value of that container. Okay, so to do so, actually we need to use the use ref hook. We can come here and create this target ref, and that will be equal to use ref, and we're gonna use this use ref hook. We have to import it, and then the initial value should be null. Okay, now we can use this target ref to this main container of this our elements, and we can say ref and equals to something like that. We have to pass that target ref. Now here on the use scroll, we have to pass an object with this target, and the target will be target ref. So now this use scroll will return this give us this scroll y of this div. Okay, so whatever the scroll position of this div, we will get it from here, but we have to provide the offsets also, and that offset should be on the array, and that should be, let me just write it down first. So first should be when should the this scroll y progress start, right? So it should start when this main container hit the top of this our screen. So top of the container, when it hit to the top of this screen, the scroll y progress should start, right? So start, so that means the main our container start should hit the start of this screen. And when should it hit? When the end of this our container hit the end of the our screen. Okay, that is what this means. Okay, so now we will get this scroll y position from when this container hit the stop, and when we scrolled up to here, then we will get this scroll y position from whatever the value, we will get it. Now to see how we are getting this value, or let me just import one more thing from here. Use, what was it, motion value event. Okay, we can use this one over here. Now if we use this, something like use motion value event, and this one will take, I think, motion value, callbacks and events. Okay, so that means we can provide it like this, and it takes three value, that is scroll y, that is motion value, when this should be activated, when the value is changed, and then we can provide a function. Let me provide a arrow function, something like this, and we can console dot log this scroll y value, and let's say just get from there. Okay, so whatever the value is changed when the scroll y value is changed, now this code will be executed. Okay, so to see that in action, just save it, come over here in a browser, and let me just open its console over here. So right now it's not showing anything because we haven't changed any value, but when once we start the scrolling, see the value is changed. So we already scroll 333 px, okay, of this container. So up to it will give us the value until we scroll uh, until the end of it. Okay, so this is the only component that we are using. But if you have something other component on the top and on the bottom, it still will give us the value that is from the top. This container hit the top of the start and until this container hit the end of this screen. Okay, so we are getting the value like so. Okay, now that we have this scroll y motion value, now we can use this to animate our component as we scroll. Okay, so first of all, to do so, I would like to do this on this div that wraps the our title, this h1. If you know from our animation that when we scroll, it should stick in the same position, right, on the top. Okay, so to achieve that, we can just simply use our css position sticky, right? So we can just say sticky top 0, and if we save it and when we scroll it, this what you call this the title stay on the same position. Now we want to animate this when we scroll also, right? So to do so, we can import another framer motion hook, that is use state. Now use transform. Okay, so use transform, and then we can use that use transform over here, and we can, let me just say, we want to scale down, right, for this, and we want to add the opacity to it. Okay, so to do so, we can say const scale equals to the use transform hook, and then this will take three values. That will be first motion value, that is we are getting from scroll y, and we want to convert this scroll value from 0 to 500. So where this 500 come from? As we said, we have mentioned that this div has a height of 500. So when we scroll from 0 to 500 and we get the value of this scroll y from 0 to 500, we want to animate, and we want the scale value goes from first, it should be same scale 1, and it should go to let's say 0.8 or something like that. Okay, so it will scale down to 0.8, and we can use this scale on this div by simply putting the style to it. Okay, so to put a style, we have to do this double brackets there, and then we can say just scale. So when we any scale is changed, we can just simply change this scale. But to do this first, we have to mention that we using the framer motion on this div. So to do that, we have to also import motion from the framer motion, and we can use that motion over here. We can say just simply motion.div. That means we are using framer motion on this div, and we just provide the style this scale. So whenever this scroll y position we get from 0 to 500, it convert the value to 1 from 1 to 0.8. So we will get scale down when we scroll it. Okay, so to see that in action, we just save it. If we scroll it, you can see this title is kind of, scaling down, right? Okay, now we also want the opacity on it, right? So control copy this and paste it over here, and then just change this to opacity. And now we want the opacity to change from 0. When this scroll Y position is from 0 to 500, we want to change from 1 to 0. We completely want it to be 0, so that we do not see that our service anymore. Okay, so if I put that opacity over here with his scale on the style opacity, now we can just save it and see this get disappears and we get our animation. Okay, simply like that. Okay, now same kind of animation we want to add to this card component also. Now that we know how this scroll animation works in the framer motion, we can use the same idea to this card component also. So let's make this wrapper dip for this card component sticky position. Okay, so we can say sticky and top 0, that makes it sticky, so when we scroll it stick on the same position. Okay, so on this top. Okay, now we need to create this scale and opacity for each of this individual card, right? And only difference will be this timeline. Okay, so the starting position of the card animation and the ending animation ending position of this scroll Y. Okay, we need to figure it out, so let's create a timeline for that. Okay, so we can say const card timeline. Okay, so for the animation timeline for each card we need to figure it out. Okay, so how many card there will be depends on this card data, right? So how many we provide the data for this card, then we will get that many cards. So let's loop through that card data, and we can use map, and we can get we actually do not need any data from it, we just need a index of it. Okay, all right, now we can just simply do something like this, and from here we need a starting point and the ending point of this timeline for this animation. Okay, so let's say const start equals to, so when this card animation should start. So I want to pass this heading each time. Okay, so starting will not begin before I pass through this title, right? So, and we have said this title has the 500 px of the height, so we need to pass through that. And before passing this card component, uh, we need the animation to start when this next card is coming, right? And this card will come over here, and this animation should complete between that period. But when this card animation start, when the next card comes, so the previous card should be passed before this card animation to happen, right? So when we animate the second card, the first card already has to have passed through the scrolling position. So for compensating to that, we can say I times and the height of this whole component, right? So height of this, we already know here that we set it as 100 dvh. So how we can get the height of the screen? So here we can say window dot inner height, so this will give the height of this screen. So if this is the first card, the index is starting from 0, so before this pass we start it, right? But the second card will start when the first one already passed, so we provide this I times here. Okay, and the hardest part on this animation project is to find out this equation, right? I feel a little bit difficult when I was trying to figure it out. I don't want to put hard-coded value, but we need to provide that and dynamic value. So for that, we need to know the how the equation works. Okay, so this should be the starting position, and end position should be I already need this 500. We need to pass this 500 px of this height, and when we completely pass this card, so means this is the first card, we need to pass this card before this card come over here, right? So we can just say plus I. Okay, I can do something like that. I plus 1. So why did I plus 1? So this one is starting from 0. So if it's the first one, I want the first one to pass before the animation ends, right? So if I multiply this by window dot inner height, and I think that will give all the starting point and end point for the each chord. And what I want to do here is, after that, return a array that has this starting point and end point. And what I am getting is this one. Okay, I need an array that has the starting and ending point. Okay, so from here I am getting the starting point and ending point of each chord, okay, for the timeline. Okay, and I want to create this scale and opacity for each chord, but we have to do it dynamically. I don't want to repeat myself, so let's do one more thing. So const timeline equals to this timeline will compensate this our first value that will start from 0 to 500, that is for our title, and the rest will be coming from this card timeline. Okay, so this way I have a complete timeline for the our animation, which has first timeline that is starting and ending point of this title, and the rest will be the card. Now to get this scale and opacity for each of this timeline, we can simply, I think, let me just not remove that from, I can copy later. Just let's create a animation, const animation. Okay, animation, and this should return the object of that has the scale and opacity for each timeline. Okay, so how we can do is, let's say we can say timeline dot map through their timeline, and we need the data from here, right? So let's get the data from here, and we want to return something, right? So to return, we just provide this parenthesis brackets, whatever you say this, and then we need to return what we want to return, the object, right? So we need to provide the object. So whatever what we doing is, we are mapping through this timeline and we are getting data there, and this each data, this array, we gonna return these objects. Okay, and that object will have our scale, and let me just copy this over here. So we're gonna have the scale and opacity on each object for this each timeline. Okay, now let me just, this showing error because we need a comma over here. Okay, now what else I want? I want to replace this 0 to 500 array with data. Okay, and I want to replace this one also with the data. Okay, now I am still seeing this scale. What is this? Okay, we use this as an object, so this should be something like this. Okay, this is how it's supposed to be. Okay, now we can say here in the scale, we can say what scale we want to use. We want to get the scale from animation, the first data from the animation, that is scale. Okay, so over here I can say, okay, I need that opacity, and I can provide that same thing, animation from the first index, that is 0, and that is should be opacity. So first index, uh, this 0 index will include the animation for this 0 to 500, that is for our title, right? So I just provided it like that. Now the rest of the data I am getting from the animation, this timeline will be over here. We have to provide for this card. Now to do that I need to get the index of this card. So let me get that index from here. After that, what I need to provide is I need to provide this style over here. To provide that style, we need it to declare that this is a motion div. That means it's using the framer motion, and we have can say style, and we have to provide two animation, right, from first scale that I am getting from animation, and index, and index is start from 0, but the animations for the each card will be from starting from the 1, right, because the 0 is this one. So just make it I plus 1. Okay, and I need a scale for it. Now the same thing, I need a opacity. I can say animation. I am getting it from index plus 1. Okay, and what I get opacity on that, right? Opacity. I think that's it, and save it, and let's check first card. And then when this second card is coming, the first card is behind it, scale down, and the opacity is changing, right? And the next card is also coming. Okay, so this is the basic way of doing this animation. Now we will optimize this to make it look nicer. Okay, so we have provided some hardcore data. Now we want to make it in so dynamic that even we change some code later in the future, that will not affect on our animation. Here in our code I have used this 500 value in a multiple place, and that is coming from this height of this div. So let's change it in a way that we can update it, all of it from one place, right? So to do so, let me create a const, let's say title height or something like that. Okay, and that will be value to 500. Okay, and we can now replace this 500 from our project with this title height. Okay, another thing that I want to do here is, so if I change this height in future code or something like that, but we set this height, title height here 500, this will not be changed, right? So I want to use that title height over here, right? So the best way of doing that will be just delete that, and just we can provide the height from this style, right? So I can say height, and then provide our height variable, right? So so what was the name? Title height. So I can say title height and px over here. Now if we update this value ever, then this height also get changed, and our animation will looks the same. Okay, even we change the value. So that is what I want to do first. Other thing I want to do here is, let's remove this use motion value event. I am not using that anymore, so we just use that to check on the scroll y position in console log. So let me just remove this also. Okay, all right. So to show you, if I change this to 800, okay, for as examples, if the animation looks similarly. Okay, the animation has no difference. So let me just change back to the 500 for now. Okay, so one thing is that. And the other thing I want to do is change this window dot inner height. So right now how we have set up this project is when we this component get render, it get the inner height from the window and just put the value for this start and end, right? But the problem with this approach is if we resize this window ever, this value will not be updated. Okay, so this will get the same value even if we resize it, but we want it to get updated when we resize, so height might get changed when we resize it, right? So the best way of doing it is creating a hook that provide us with the inner height. Okay, so let me, I think I already created one component. This is called use window size. This is a hook, and in this hook what we have done is we are getting the height and width of this window, and whenever we resize it, it listen to the listener. Okay, we add event listener, and it update our size. Okay, so I want to, and it return this size, and I want to get this updated size every time we resize it. Okay, so this is the hook I created. I don't want to show it over here how I did it, but if you want to learn how about this, I have a video for this also, so you can check it. Okay, I will put the link somewhere on this video also. So how we can get the size from this hook is we can come back to this app tsx, and let me do it on the top over here, and here I can say const, and I want to get the size of the window that I'm getting from use window size hook. Okay, so from this I can get the width also and height also, but for now we only want to use the height. And now I can change this window dot inner height with this size dot height. So we can change this one also, size dot height. Now even the user resize this window, our animation will have no effect. Okay, so our animation will work as it's supposed to work. Okay, let me save it. Now the next thing I want to do is let me go to this browser, and if you see the last card stock over here, and this card is not getting any animation because we do not have any more scrolling space. Okay, so I want to add the animation for it. We already have animation, but we don't have any scroll space, so this is not getting any animation. So to tackle that, the one thing I can do is I can add let me see where we can add after this motion div. After this one I can add one div. Let's say div, oh, div, and then it can be self closing tag, and I just need to add a class name with the height of dynamic view height. Okay, let me say that, and then if I save it, I have more space over here on the bottom so that I can scroll it, and now the animation take place for this last card also. Okay, something like that. Okay, and what else I need to do here is another thing that I notice on our animation is when I get this first card, the it get animated right away. You know, this is scaling down, but I can't see the card over here, the next card. Okay, before the next card I can see it start animating. Okay, not just now I see the card, but it was already getting animation. That is because I have like this padding ATPX for this card component. Okay, so for this wrapper. Okay, whatever wrapper we have this for this card, this is getting 80px on the top and 80px on the bottom. So before I see over here this card white background, I'm getting that animation because we did not consider that padding for it. Okay, so I want to add that in our equation over here so that this animation should start after this padding scroll is completed, right? So for that I simply can do is I can add another const value that will be say called card padding or something like that, okay. So we can say we get it 80px, right? So we can say this is 80, and then I can add that 80 over here by saying card padding. So now when this 80px of this padding is we scroll it, then only the animation start. Okay, to check that, if I save it and then if I now do it, the animation is not showing, but once I see that white background over here, now only this animation is starting, right? So that is what I wanted. Now another problem with our animation is it's too quick, right? So too fast. So if we scroll it, the one card is coming, but as soon as this card comes, the animation is start and the another card come up, right? So it's kind of too speed up, and I think the viewer will not get a chance to read it properly, right, if it is too fast. And I want to add some effect, something like the card stay a little bit longer over here so that viewer can read it properly, right, or see it properly. And the effect will be like kind of snap scroll snap kind of thing, like this will stay over here after we scroll, so it feels like it snap to the top. Okay, something like that. Okay, so to achieve that, the best way I find is to add some space between these cards. So we have some scroll link space, and between that scroll space we want it to stay, want to make it the card to stay in the screen little longer before this other card come up. Okay, so to do that, the way I did it is to wrap this or to add another div. Okay, and I try using margin also, but this gives me a little bit what you say, the bug, because of this sticky nature of this card. And the best way I find is to add this div that will have some height. So I can say class name and let's just put height of 52. Now we have some height to scroll in between the card, right? And it's giving me error because I can return only one thing within this map, right? Then I can use this react dot fragments like this, and let me just remove this from here and put it under this. If I do that, I can use this, and then I have to import this react, and then I did this because I want to put this key on the top, so react do not complain. Okay, so if I save it, I have some space in between this this card component. Okay, now I have to take this 208px in the consideration on the timeline to make it better or something like that. What I can do here is I can just add another const value that will be card. Let's say this is a margin so that it should be the value of 208 as we mention it over here. So this height 52 means 208 px. Okay, so now what we can do here is when we start, we want to uh, add this I plus 1, so that each time I gonna add this card margin. Okay, times times chord margin. Okay, now I have to do the same thing to this end also, plus I have to say I plus 1 and times chord margin. So when we do that, and if I save it, now you can see when we scroll, it stay a little bit longer there, right? I'm scrolling, but it is not moving, not getting animation. Now another card came off, then only we get the animation. So this one is working. Now only thing that we need to do is we need to get some smooth scrolling, because right now it kind of jumpy from one position to another, and this doesn't look nice when we have some scroll animation, right? So for making this one little what you call this smooth scrolling behavior, I want to install some library called Linux. Okay, so come to the terminal and write down npm install Lenish, I think Lenish. Okay, so install it. After that we can import from this Lenish what you call this Lenish slash React. So we're gonna import from Lenish slash React, and what we're gonna import, we're gonna import this React Lenish, and we have to wrap everything that we are getting scroll with. Okay, let me just wrap this with React Lenish, right? So when I wrap it, I have to provide here root also. And if I save it, and let me refresh it so that this package applied it. So if I scroll now, see this scroll is smooth, not jumpy. So slowly it gonna scroll. So when I reach here, this one feel like it is snapped to the top. Okay, and I scroll more, than only this one get it. Now it looks like it is snapped there, right? So feel like it is snapped there, and reader can read one card, and if they don't want, it just can go to the next card. And looks like our animation project is completed. I think that's all for this animation. So this is how we can animate, scroll based animation using Framer motion. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you next time.